Football with friends is fun as hell. My name is Alex Dunlap here with Cody Carpentier on a big Thursday. So pumped up to be here with you on Orange Bloods Live, and hopefully you've had a good day watching some March Madness basketball. Cody, I get pumped up for it the whole time to sit down and watch basketball, but then I realize I got to work and stuff during the day. I really haven't seen that much, and I might not see that much through the weekend because I got to go to Elite 11 on Saturday. We have to talk some spring football though, brother. What is going on with you?
Not too much, man. For the first time, I think you could watch these games in prior years. I think every year I've been able to watch these every year on like marchmadness.com or something. I can't figure it out this year. It's like Paramount Plus, Max, all these different things. And I'm like, I don't pay for YouTube TV or cable in the off season. So I haven't watched in a single second of basketball today. I've been working on like dynasty rankings and things like that. So we're here talking about the Longhorns. I think we got a good show for you guys in store, talking all things spring practice, not spring game. Little slip there, but spring practice.
We put together we thought about it in the 2 minutes before the show, and we're gonna go through and we're gonna do 5 things for each position group. For each position group that has probably each non-quarterback position group, and that will be what the one guy we're most confident in, the one guy who we think could be a surprise, the one guy we think has a chance to break out, one guy who we think will probably redshirt, and then one prediction. Five things. So let's just start. Where do you want to start?
Are we gonna do quarterback or no?
Well, we can just talk over quarterbacks. I've said, but we can't do that because it's like it's pretty. I mean, I'm most confident in Arch Manning. I'm hoping that none of them really surprise us with any big time playing time. I guess that's more in the fall. I'm not sure. Maybe like. Do you have any hot takes about who could be a quarterback surprise? I kind of think it's all about Arch Manning.
I think it's all about Arch Manning. We kind of got a glimpse into what Trey Owens was. I'd like to hear something positive about Trey Owens, and I'd like to hear something positive about KJ Lacey. But I think in totality, quarterback's the toughest position for this exact thing we're doing here, this experiment we're doing here. So that's why I kind of want to get it out of the way right away, because it's maybe the one that's all right. It's there's only a couple guys at the position in total, so I think we're pretty much on the same.
This would be a surprise from Cotton saying KJ Lacey number 2.
I'm gonna go ahead and sell on that.
I think I might too. It's certainly if that thing were to happen, that's not traditionally the kind of thing that would happen during spring, right? It's like even if you got the inklings that was going to happen, I think that would be something that you would have to kind of settle on and decide on and kind of get that hierarchy, get that apple cart upended maybe more in the fall.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I would think you're sending Trey Owens to Portal Town.
Oh, he's long gone. If he's long gone if that happens.
Yeah. So I would think that would be something that you would want to slow roll just a little bit and hope that you could put off the eventual transfer until after next season, right? At least that's what I would think. The offensive line, running back, wide receiver. Let's stay on offense.
Let's go running back.
Okay, running back. So whenever we look at the running backs, I think that Anwar just put out. So there's a couple of things we need to parse out. Okay, so we know that CJ Baxter is not going to participate. So we're just talking purely spring football. I'm going to act as if we do not have Christian Clark and CJ Baxter, right? Anwar in his War Room reporting says that his recovery from a torn Achilles is going well, but he's not at 100%. He's moving well, looks good in drills. The goal is for him to be ready to participate fully in training camp. What Anwar said there, reading between the lines, he didn't say he's not going to participate in spring football, but he did say the goal is to get him participating fully for training camp. So what that means is that he's not going to be playing in spring football. So what we have then is I'm assuming Trey Wisner atop the depth chart, and then Jarrett Gibson. Then we're going to just see between James Simon and Ricky Stewart which one of these guys. Look, the fact of the matter is, one of those guys is probably going to have to rotate in at least with the twos, right? Because I think that Trey Wisner and Jarrett Gibson, I don't know. Do you think that Trey Wisner and Jarrett Gibson at this point might practice with the first group as a 1A and a 1B?
Well, I mean that can be part of a prediction, or where's your what I was going to open up was with I'm most confident in Trey Wisner is going to be the solo dolo, like he's going to be the one running back that's like I don't want to say like an 80-20 split because they're going to have other guys in there, but you're going to be able to tell that Wisner's like the main guy in the backfield. That was going to be like my confidence thought about these running backs.
Okay, I'm okay. So right, we're playing a game here. Okay, so most confident, yeah, I'm most confident in Trey Wisner. I am the one that I think is most likely to surprise. There's not many. It's Jarrett Gibson.
Yeah.
I think that the likelihood of Jarrett Gibson asserting himself as this team, he could be the running back one for this team.
Yep.
It's like that would be kind of surprising, but it's like, would it, knowing what we know, would it be a giant shock? Like, not at all. Coming into his second year, super, super highly rated guy, baby rhino, all this stuff. As a freshman, he was depended on like down the stretch, deep into the college football playoff, and gotta have it situations, 3rd and 1s, stuff like this, 4th and 1s. What was the other one? Oh, who's most likely to redshirt? And look, this could be bad because I've never seen these guys live yet. I've only seen their film, but I would guess that maybe James Simon might be more likely to redshirt than Ricky Stewart, just because Ricky Stewart seems to me, and I could be totally wrong, and I'm hand on the Bible, hand right on it, right here, right? Like I am. I'll come back and say I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, I'll say it the day of practice. From what what I've seen on film, Ricky Stewart to me seems a little bit more dynamic, whereas James Simon seems more like what Coach Choice said was kind of a professional runner. I would think if a guy was going to break in as sort of like a third running back option with the team, you'd want the guy that maybe brings a little bit more in space, a little bit more dynamism, as opposed to the one that's kind of not a plotter or between the tackles grinder, but more of just a true professional type of developmental runner. So I'd say maybe Simon's most likely to redshirt. My prediction is exactly what I said earlier. What we see during camp is that Jarrett Gibson's going to work in with the ones maybe a little bit more than people thought, and I think this could be a 1A, 1B. I don't think that Trey Wisner's shown enough last year for them to go into this spring and say, like, dude, we're loading up Trey Wisner, and there's no need for us to get a look at anything else. And I think they're going to try to just see what else they can do with the run game in case things get stale like they did down the stretch last season, these Georgia games, stuff like that. I actually kind of think it's likely. So that would be my prediction. What about you?
My most confidence, we talked about that which was with Wisner. I expect him on day one and at least the first week to kind of just be the clear cut focus point in the backfield. My breakout potential player is James Simon. I'm going to go James Simon for the breakout because I think that you kind of answered the question yourself in saying he's the most professional runner of those two guys, him and Ricky Stewart, according to Tashard Joyce. And when you look at this group, Wisner is a little bit erratic, a little little one cut heavy. Gibson, he could definitely stand to lose a little bit of weight, I would say, if you want to have a more enhanced role for him. Simon's one guy, like, he vaulted up the rankings a lot, and I didn't quite agree with it, but he ended up being almost top 100, number 6 over running back this past year. I'm just going to go ahead and ride James Simon and say that trend keeps going for him, and he potentially is a breakout. The surprise, kind of the same thing as you with Gibson, just that he's a guy that grows in the offense, grows through the offseason. I remember vividly last year this picture that populated, I think it was day one of camp, right?
Mhm.
And you're like, Jarek Gibson, that's a freshman. All right, well, if that's Jarek Gibson, the freshman, you know what I want to see, Alex? I want to see Jarek Gibson, the sophomore. I want to see what that looks like, and I want to see if
You want to see him looking like that, or you want to see him looking more sleek?
no, I want to see what it looks like. I want to see. I said that's him as a freshman. I want to see what Jarek Gibson is as a sophomore, because when you look at what Sark did with Cedric Baxter as like he loved Cedric Baxter. He wanted to make him the focal point as a freshman. He loved Roshan Johnson. These are both guys that are 220 pounds, built properly. If Gibson gets dialed in and enters this camp period dialed in, I think that you could see Gibson be a surprise. My red shirt is Ricky. You got the hand on the Bible. You're going to take the L. I know you're going to take the L, just like you're going to take the L on Torrey Horton from the Roster Watch podcast.
I'm not taking the L on that.
And then my prediction is just that, man. Jarek Gibson's going to come in shape. And he might just like my prediction is I'm not going to be shocked if Jarek Gibson is the lead back in the spring, period. And just because like Wisner's a good back. Don't get me wrong. He's a good back. He's good for any system that just wants a guy to come in there, take a beating, if we're being honest with ourselves. But Gibson is a guy that I think has a little more talent. Even Simon, I think, has more talent than Wisner. So my prediction is that Gibson, by the end of camp, is a guy that we're looking at as like, all right, there was no Baxter and there was no Clark. Not that we expected Clark to do a lot, but Gibson's the back. That's my prediction for running backs.
And we're doing this today because, of course, tomorrow will be a Final Takes Friday. This is our last day, really, to have a show before we get into the first week of spring football. So thank you guys for joining us here. Creeping up towards 300 of you guys already here watching live concurrently in the Specs chat line. So thanks so much for everybody being here with us on Orange Bloods Live, Football with Friends, Alex and Cody, here every night, 6 to 7 p.m. Which position is up next?
Let's do wide receiver. We're sticking with the weaponry.
Okay.
Do receiver plus tight end?
No.
Since tight end's so small.
Let's just do receivers.
All right.
Or we could do pass catchers. Let's just do receivers.
Okay.
Okay, so for me, what are the five? Okay, so the one I'm most sure about Ryan Wingo. All this stuff about the LASIK surgery, the 12% drop rate last year, all that. I don't care about that. For me, whenever I watched Ryan Wingo, it wasn't like that was a drop a minute kind of thing at all. It didn't remind me of, say, 2023 Xavier Worthy. It's like it just. If there were, did you think of Wingo as a guy that had too many drops last year?
I mean, I remember a couple drops, but it wasn't like it was this Troy Williamson type thing.
Yeah, or Arian Smith. The Troy Williamson, so funny. You as a Vikings fan have to have to think about that.
He was terrible, man.
Where do you go to school? South Carolina.
South Carolina, first round pick.
The thing look, Wingo class of 2027 is going to be like a first round draft pick. He's a size speed beast. He's a monster. He's awesome. He's the guy I'm most sure about. And I think that any NFL scout, anybody, that'll be, spoiler alert, that's going to be Cody's answer too. Well, maybe not.
I'll give you my answer.
Because all right, so who are you most confident in? Because you can't say DeAndre Moore because he's probably not going to practice this spring.
Well, I'm most confident in DeAndre Moore. It's exactly what I'm most confident in, because we're not expecting to see him at all. But the most confidence I have in any player in this in of the receivers is DeAndre Moore. I also don't know how much he's not going to practice. You
think DeAndre Moore's going to have any kind of draft capital in the NFL similar to Wingo?
I don't care about the draft capital today. I'm worried about just like
a college football player.
I know Wingo has star potential and he's going to be a star, but I think that the question is confidence. I have the most confidence that DeAndre Moore is he's like I view him differently than everybody. A year ago, I was pounding the table for this guy because I just love him. Um, I think
What
he's
do
a
you love most about DeAndre Moore's game? Like, you really do love the guy. Like, what is it about him that you just think he's
I
just?
think he's a
I
I
think
think
he's a
he's a
good
more
player. I'm
I
just
think he's a
curious.
more dynamic Jordan Whittington. I think he's a savvy player. He had the lowest drop rate. I mean, speaking of drop rate with Wingo, he had only like a 5% drop rate last year. A guy that like you can clearly tell is not a grinder to the level of Whittington, but he's a dynamo, good with the ball in his hands. He just kind of does everything, and it's like I don't even know where I would go with like a comp for him because it's you know the lazy direction you'd go, and I don't think he's weight. I don't know what his weight is, like 195 maybe. I don't think he's a 200 pounder.
DeAndre, he's not 200 pounds. I don't. Well, maybe I don't. I would be very surprised. Let me just see.
The website has him 6 foot 195.
That's,
I don't know, man. I think he's a freaking stud. So maybe it's a guy that I'm just going to end up being higher on in the long run. But he also fits what I always talk about, the archetype, which is the 5'11", 6 foot, 200 pounds, which is what I love in these receivers. And I just think he's a dependable piece. And you know what? It might be like kind of like a Chris Olave type of a thing for me.
how in what way?
Just like the Mr. Consistency type factor. And that I just know I think he can dominate the middle of the field. And this offense generally, like they don't use a player like Olave was used at Ohio State, but I think that more could be used in that way. I
Right.
just think he's significantly better than I think the consensus.
It's the
Everyone
Olave,
he's a good
JSN,
receiver.
Emeka Egbuka. They use those
Yeah,
guys in very. It's been a very productive kind of role
yeah.
there in Brian Hartline's scheme for sure. All right, so your breakout candidate for me is Parker Livingstone.
Well, I mean that's a good one. I'll go. I'll go with I'll go with Aaron Butler. I think that they're going to tap into this piece here with Aaron Butler. I think they have to. Um, he was a late ad in that recruiting class a couple of years ago. A Cali boy, kind of following in the pseudo footsteps of Xavier Worthy. I think he's got speed to burn, and I want to see it. I want to see you go out there the first day and call back and go, yo, this kid wheels. Next, he's the next guy that's going to hit 4 threes at Texas at the combine, and we need to be looking out for Aaron Butler because there's a lot of conversation right now about French and Lockett and McCutcheon and Terry, and you've talked about Livingstone. Nobody else has. It feels like in Austin, everybody knows
Well, they
about
should
Wingo and
be.
Moore,
He's
but I
probably
think
going to
Aaron
be the
Butler is a
starter
guy.
on the first day.
What
He's probably going to be the starter on day. I mean, why are we not talking about the guy? We're going to walk out there and probably see him lining up with the first three wide receivers.
Butler?
No, Livingstone.
Well, no, I get that. I'm just saying you're the only guy that's been talking about him. I'm saying my answer is Butler because I think that you'll come back and you'll be surprised that he's the guy that's getting the work with the ones.
Okay, the other one was the breakout. What was the other one again? I forgot even our setup here.
Red shirt.
Most likely to redshirt. Well,
It's
look,
a tough one.
I think that Dalen McCutcheon's probably the most likely to redshirt just because if DeAndre Moore's healthy. I've been over this a million times. I
Yeah.
realize that, from
Yeah, I
15
agree.
years of doing radio and having program directors always telling me that I don't know if it's the same here on YouTube and on X and stuff like that, but what they always told us on Sirius XM has just been like, you can't assume that people every time you're on, there are new people listening to you. You can't assume that they've listened the whole time, and so I hate to keep repeating myself, but people might not have heard this before, and that's that the slot wide receiver position under Sark only plays like 50% of the snaps, whereas the two outside wide receivers, they play like it's like 100% of snaps. Right now, an actual player doesn't play 100% of snaps, but those two outside positions, unless they go to some weird 3 tight end set or some 2-back set with 2 tight ends or something like that, you're usually gonna have the 2 outside receivers on the field, right? The slot wide receiver comes off the field anytime they go to 12 personnel, anytime they go to 21 personnel, anytime they do any of that stuff. And so with that depleted number of snaps to go around, we just haven't seen really backup slot receivers play much. And I'm projecting Dalen McCutcheon to be playing behind DeAndre Moore. I do think that the surprise. I think maybe the surprise of camp, I'll say, is Dalen McCutcheon. If he gets to go out there and play in DeAndre Moore's role and play with the ones, what if he comes out there and he looks really good? And I think he might be a surprise in the spring, but somebody who wants DeAndre Moore's back in the fall could be somebody that's I think the most likely redshirt candidate. You going to redshirt Jamie French, Khalil Lockett, or Michael Terry?
They're going to be gone.
You're not going to redshirt those guys.
They're going to be gone as fast as they can get out if you redshirt them.
I think it would be easier to tell McCutcheon, look, man, you're next man up. It was Jay Witt. It was DeAndre Moore. Next, it's.
It's the same thing, right? DeAndre Moore's a 4-star out of St. John Bosco. Like, they're like, hey, get in Whittington's back pocket. You're next. I'd tell the same thing to McCutcheon.
Yeah. So, and then my prediction.
This is the big one. I agree with you on most of the other stuff.
My prediction is that.
Can these predictions be like pseudo season predictions? Like,
yeah, it's fine. We're talking about spring football. It's what kicks off the season. It can be whatever you want. Prediction, just Ryan Wingo smash fest. I think this is the spring. This is the year. I think that this is Wingo's incredible. I think he's incredible. I think he's so fast and so big. I've never seen a wide receiver that's that big and long and almost still runs a little bit lanky like, and he's that fast. And you want to hand him off the ball on like end arounds. It's just generally those. That's the little Tank Dell or Deshaun Jackson type of player you want to get involved like that. To get Wingo involved like that at that size, it's crazy. It's crazy. And the fact that this whole time he's needed LASIK surgery, it's like, come on, man.
I'll go prediction. I'll go Michael Terry. I just remember reading off those box scores. I was thinking about Lockett or Terry, but I'm going to go Terry here just because kind of similar things you just explained. But they're going to need somebody to step up. And I think he's the most physically ready to step up. And honestly, Alex, I kind of want to see what this trio looks like. This big man trio of Livingstone, Terry, and Wingo. And I hope that they run it out there in a 3-wide set one time, and you just get to see 6'4", 6'5", 6'3", 220, 215, 215 across the board, and just be this like completely different thing than really what we've seen Sark do the last decade, really, at Alabama or Texas. So I'll go Michael Terry is kind of a big surprise. He gets a lot more work than we expect, and he's the freshman with the most receiving yards.
It will be something different, dude. So my wife's doing something different tonight. Of course, we had Texas Beef Traders for dinner last night. I had delicious tenderloin filet tips. And that's the thing about going to Texas Beef Traders is, Darren will tell you, it's like, hey man, like there are these filet mignons or whatever, but I do have these filet tips where it's like, take off the end of the filet where it just gets a little bit skinnier and stuff. He cuts it off at the end. You got this big long filet tip. It's not quite as nice, and it's not like, it doesn't look as nice, like a nice perfect circle, but it costs you like half the price, and it tastes like a filet, and it still is like perfectly presentable and good, right? So we had that for dinner last night. Totally delicious. I had some of those Mama Lil's is the name of the company that he gets them. At Texas Beef Traders, there's all kinds of like accoutrements and stuff for your accoutrements. Is that it? Like, there's all kinds of things that go with your steak. They sell like these little peppers and stuff like that. And they, all kinds of great like cheeses and things like that. And my wife made it's making my mouth water to talk about it, but it was like a blue cheese kind of butter and stuff with those little peppers in there, and just dip it in that. It was just amazing dinner. And so of course tonight, very disappointingly, I looked in the sink before I came over to the studio, and she's defrosting chicken. And I'm like, oh man, we can't have Texas Beef Traders again tonight. So you can't eat it every night. I would if I could though, especially since I get 10% off every time I go in, just like you can. It's right there off the corner of Loman's Crossing and 620. Make sure and check them out. Give Darren a call. Texas Beef Traders, TexasBeefTraders.com. I can't say enough about it. It's totally healthy beef. It's all natural. It's all local. It's great company, great people, great ranchers. Make sure and support them. You're not buying meat that is processed or grown here in America. If you're buying it at the grocery store, I'm sorry. Even if it says made product of the USA, it just isn't. It just isn't. Um, Texas Beef Traders, TexasBeefTraders.com. Great sponsors.
I picked up where you left off today. Then you're eating chicken. I made that big. You remember that big sirloin Kool-Aid he sent me? That big round one.
Oh yeah, that thing was giant.
I threw that on the boomer box today at noon, and that was what that's what I had a couple hours ago. So that was my dinner. Just a nice, easy piece of meat to cook on that boomer box.
You eat dinner at like 4 o'clock in the afternoon?
Well, I'm a hit or miss kid, dude. I'm hit or miss.
It's just whenever.
Yeah, I mean my wife's clock. I pick her up. I take her to work and pick her up every day. So hers like, I might pick her up at 4 o'clock some days. I might pick her up at 9 o'clock. And so when I eat is literally just kind of usually on my time, unless I know,
just like when you're hungry, you just eat it.
yeah, unless I know like she's gonna be home. Like I know I'm gonna pick her up early, so then I can make dinner with her before our show. The show's kind of in a not fantastic spot for her schedule, but so when I eat dinner, I eat dinner.
Huh, fair enough.
Texas Beef
Was
Traders,
the
that's what I
sirloin
eat.
good? Was it like I was
Oh, dude, it was fantastic. It was like, you can, the thing about it is he told me it's not meant to be the one piece. So I can cut off the sirloin and then you have this big other chunk and it's like you have like 3 different textures of meat in one steak. That was the nice thing about it. I ate the whole thing. It was like
you ate that whole thing?
a little over a pound, yeah.
Dude, that didn't put you to oh god, I figured that would have been like 2 pounds.
No, I think it was like 1.3 maybe.
I think it put you to sleep. It must have been kind of a thin cut to only be one because it's like the size of one of those giant pancakes you get in Las Vegas, dude.
Yeah, it was like I don't know what it was.
Anyway, Texas Beef Traders, TexasBeefTraders.com, and check out the beef jerky over there in the corner. That's all from Texas Beef Traders, all natural. Cody and I's signature line, football with friends, tasty as hell beef jerky. Okay, next position, tight ends. That's hard. Breakout.
Would you say Jordan Washington to the moon, period? Is that just our overall analysis?
I kind of think so because there's only one guy that's going to read. I mean, Nick Townsend's not in town yet. He won't get in town until summertime. Amari Winston's the only freshman that's on campus right now. And then you just have Will Randall and Spencer Shannon. I think you're right about the Jordan Washington.
Spencer Shannon's like, he might be like that. The one other name I might mention is like a surprise. He might surprise.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. But it could be the one sneaky surprise is that Will Randall is
You're going with the arch corollary, the shower narrative.
Yeah. It's not just shower. It isn't just showering together in high school. I think they shower. They've used the same shower. They're roommates too. They got a whole house of these dudes. I think Livingstone lives with them. Will Randall lives with them.
That's a daunting sized, 6'7", 6'5", 6'4".
Yeah, I don't think anybody wants to go like, yeah, dude. The West Campus burglars don't want to go breaking in around there. I don't think that'd be bad news, dude. But yeah, I think with tight end it's pretty self-explanatory. I think the most interesting thing will just be like, what exactly does Texas have in a tight end room that seems to be like it's going to be led by a really very, very unproven redshirt freshman and Jordan Washington, who we've only really like the thing that we hang our hat on is a 2024 spring game performance wherever he was kind of playing in mop-up duty a little bit and actually kind of got injured then.
Yep.
And didn't play much during the season at all.
But he was getting like, it was like zing, zing, zing. I felt like I remember that whole fourth quarter was just like target. And you're like, all right.
Like, well, who's this? You're just like, well, golly. What are we dealing with here?
I remember having conversations about him like getting real chances last year. That was before we ever had the clue what Gunnar Helm was.
Jordan Washington last year, 27 total snaps. He played 0 snaps in line, Cody. 0. He played 2 snaps split out. He played 25 snaps at H-back. So
what do you think of the, Anwar's got a bunch of nuggets on here from a lot of these players, but there's a note here about the staff wanting him to weigh a bit less than he did last year. He weighed in at 250 last year.
Did he really? Huh.
And that's what the roster says.
They wanted to weigh less. Well, that goes to show. I mean, I think that goes to show that it probably it's nothing where they're going to have him play. If they wanted to weigh less, I would think if you're telling a guy, "Hey, man, you're gonna have to play in line a lot. We need to put more weight on."
Yeah, and it'd be like that extra lineman, right?
Yeah. So let me just look and see. So Spencer Shannon well, dude. So here's the answer. Spencer Shannon, 53 snaps last year, 34 snaps in line. Jordan Washington, 0. So Spencer Shannon played 65% of his snaps in line last year. He only played 1 snap split out. He played 18 snaps at H-back. So 34% were at H-back. 64%, 34%. He
So
played more snaps in line than even Gunnar Helm. Gunnar Helm played 45% of snaps in line. Juan Davis played 286 snaps. He played 2 snaps in line. So less than 1% of snaps for him. Amari Niblack last year played 31% of his snaps in line. Spencer Shannon played Amari. Spencer Shannon played 65% of his snaps in line. Jordan Washington played 0%. So Spencer Shannon played over 20% more of his snaps in line than his nearest competition, which was Gunnar Helm. Jordan Washington's your H-back. Spencer Shannon is your inline tight end in 12 personnel.
So this is going to be like the Jatavian Gunnar Helm year 2 years ago.
That's exactly right.
What?
That's the prediction.
There we go. We got that dialed in.
Offensive line.
Let's do it.
Okay. The one I'm most sure of is Trevor Gooseby. The one that I think could be a surprise is Nato Yamusalo. The one I expect to break out is Brandon Baker. The one I think will redshirt. I think like every single for the guys who are here. Well, so I mean, everybody not named Nick Brooks. So
Christian and the Coleman brothers.
The Coleman brothers aren't here yet,
so they're going to redshirt.
So Jackson Christian's going to redshirt, and
that's probably it, isn't it? Christian and the Coleman brothers.
Yeah, they're both going to redshirt.
Everybody else has a red shirt used already.
And dude, to be honest, Nick Brooks could redshirt even if he's primary depth.
Yeah, just be the swing guy, and you just rarely get. I mean, what's the redshirt limit? 4 games.
Yeah.
So yeah, he could easily. Well, how about this? I hope he redshirts.
Yeah, well, me too. I think the fans should too, unless it turns out he's just awesome. You got to get him on the field somehow.
Which would be definitely an interesting curveball for a surprise. If a surprise was that Brooks was rather. I mean, here's the thing, man. If Brooks is really leaned down, and he comes in, and you're like, man, he's got to play football. And he looks like he's a little more along than Brandon Baker, which would not be a good thing. It'd be a good thing for Brooks, but it wouldn't be a good thing in totality because of where we expect Baker to be. Do you say, because of what we've heard is that Brooks is working to become the left tackle, but I think he played both, if I remember right, in high school. Do you kind of say, all right, move Brooks over to right, or would you say move Gooseby to right? What would kind of be your train of thought there if you believe that Brooks is far enough along? If this is your surprise. If the surprise is that Brooks is far enough along to play, do you bump Baker out and put Brooks over there, or do you bump Baker out, move Gooseby over, and keep Brooks at left?
I just don't see how that can any. I don't see any.
Completely. You're looking at me like I got 3 eyes and a.
Yeah. Well, no. I just think that it can't happen with Gooseby, right? There's no way. There's no way like he's going to look better than Gooseby.
No. It's not about Gooseby. Gooseby's up here. I'm saying he looks advanced enough where you're looking at him. Kyle Flood goes, this kid has to play this year. Again, he's coming out of spring doing this. He's like, this kid has to play. in spring, you're seeing
And
him
then
look,
then you have to have a long talk with Brandon Baker about playing guard.
which I don't think is a horrible idea.
You know,
Into it, I mean,
he played left
let me
guard.
tell you a story. It goes a little like this: Nick Brooks lost 30 pounds, and he's playing right tackle, and Brandon Baker's starting left guard next to Trevor Gooseby. I think some, yeah,
I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm not sure Baker would love that.
well, no, but it sounds better in theory, to be honest with you, than me hearing. And this is no offense to NATO at all, but it just sounds better. You know, we haven't seen these guys play in any of these positions other than Gooseby, but any real meaningful snaps. But it's just a thought. I gotta express thought. We're doing a spring football preview right now on March 20th. I'm just going through thoughts in my head of like possibilities because you like a year ago, possibilities that we didn't entertain happened. So I just had to bring it up.
Yeah. Let's see. Do you want to go defensive line?
Of course.
Oh, my prediction is that I think we're gonna get out there and Brandon Baker's gonna look awesome.
There we go.
That's my prediction. Okay. Defensive line. So we're including interior defensive line and edge.
Yeah, let's do all four.
Okay. Well, the one I'm most sure about is the one I've always been most sure about, the one I will forever be most sure about. Colin Simmons, no matter what. The one who I think is most likely to redshirt is Smith Orogbo.
That's a good call.
The one that I think is going to be the biggest surprise is going to be Justice Terry, who might just end up starting. The one who what was the Cody? I'm sorry. What was the other
breakout and prediction?
The breakout. I think the breakout will be Travis Shaw. He's due for the breakout. He's been building up towards it at UNC the whole time. He looks like a mountain of a man. People say he looks good. Although, I did hear something a tiny bit concerning today. I was talking to somebody that's been around practices and been around the team. I'm like, well, how do they look? Like, what's your just general feeling? He's like, dude, I think they're going to be really good again and stuff like that. Because I think maybe we'll see how things go, but I think maybe in the portal they might end up going and getting a wide receiver and a defensive tackle. It's like, oh, like we heard about wide receiver. We hadn't really heard about defensive tackle. So I don't know. I don't know if that means anything. I just thought that was some kind of chatter to file away. See if it means anything. But I do think that Travis Shaw is, if you just watched his film, which we did, he got better and better from 2023 to 2024. And by the end of 2024, just showing very, very, very athletic flashes. So I'll say Travis Shaw, the transfer that came in from North Carolina, the former 5-star. And then my prediction is that I don't think that there's going to be a giant fall off along the defensive line. I think they're going to be fine. I know it feels a little bit patchwork with all these transfers and stuff, but dude, last year it felt a little bit patchwork with Vernon Broughton and Alfred Collins having to replace Byron Murphy and Tavondre Sweat. The edge guys are better this year. The young talent with Lance Jackson and like Justice Terry and all this stuff is so much better at the edges. You're doubling up with Colin Simmons and getting Trey Moore in a new outside linebacker role. The pressure's going to be nice. So I don't think we see much of a fall off.
All right. My confidence, I'll stay with Simmons, of course. That's kind of the easy layup. My breakout, I'm going to go Ethan Burke on the edge.
Oh.
I think Ethan Burke takes a step forward. I think they need him to take a step forward. I think they need him to, I don't know, put a couple pounds on. And, I remember a year ago hearing like a little bit of draft chatter around Ethan Burke's name. This year there's nothing, kind of for obvious reasons because they brought some guys in and Barron Sorrell was Barron Sorrell and so on and so forth. So I'll go Burke for the breakout. The surprise is, well, you said Justice Terry.
I forgot if I said breakout or surprise. Maybe that. Yeah, surprise, Justice Terry.
All right. Surprise. I'll go. Would it surprise anybody if Travis Shaw was just like something between, you know, some halfway between Vernon Broughton and Tavondre Sweat? Would that be a surprise?
Yeah,
Okay, well, I'll go with that. I think the surprise is that Shaw is somewhere between. He's
that's a
better than Broughton, but he's obviously not quite Sweat, but he's somewhere in between. You're like,
beast. That's a third. That's a late second, early third round player.
yeah, you can see a lot
Because Broughton's going to go day. Is Broughton day 2 or
he
early or round 4?
he probably around 4. Yeah.
So if he's somewhere between Sweat and them, he's a third round pick. That's a
Yeah.
giant surprise.
Yeah. Red shirt, Orogbo, that's a layup. That's a great call by you. And then the last one is prediction. My prediction, and I thought of this one on the fly because of words you said about potentially going back into the portal. I think the thought of the portal is axed. I think that when they saw Hero Canoe, when I saw the picture of Hero Canoe at the dinner the other night, I go, well, that guy looks a little undersized, maybe from expectation coming over from Ohio State. That maybe could have raised some like, hey, we need to get another guy. I think Lance Jackson enters chat left, and he's moving all over the defensive line. I think you're going to go out there to practice. And you said they don't show you much team, but if we see or if we hear anything about team, it's going to be, man, you should have saw Lance. He's lined up at 7, and the next play he was lined up at 3. He was just all over the defensive line. I think that's something like that. I'm just going to gauge that based off of what Landon told us. Landon Jackson, his brother from Arkansas, told us at the SEC Media Days last year, I'm going to make sure he's ready to contribute. I'm going to make sure he's ready to contribute. He's going to know all the drills before he gets on campus. He's going to be ready. So I think Lance Jackson is going to be ready. That's my prediction. And he's going to make it so they don't have to go back into the portal in the spring.
Man, neither of us. I see Esro 45 in the chat. He said, Alex neither of us mentioned Alex January. Where are you on January? You just
middling. No, I have no expectation. I haven't seen him play enough. I don't know enough about him.
Well, he just hasn't been he hasn't been very good yet. But
we did hear good stuff about him last fall.
Yeah, but he hasn't been effective when he's been on an actual football field yet.
Yeah,
and he just hasn't. The numbers show that he hasn't
on a game field.
Yeah,
we've heard some practice stuff, but we haven't seen any game stuff.
Lord knows. I mean, God, just look at the guy. He could end up like Alfred Collins. You know, he could have that kind of trajectory where it's like final year, it's just through the roof. But I think I'm just holding out just a small bit with him just to see. But like I don't are we allowed to be surprised if he comes in and through the course of fall camp we find out that he's like definitely going to be a starter next year? Would that be super surprising to you?
Not at all.
I don't think so either.
I wouldn't be surprised if you go out there on day 1 and you're like, well,
January starting.
Why'd they go get those guys? January starting.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So that's a good point, Esron. He's definitely going to be a giant part of the rotation, and maybe shouldn't have left him out of the whole conversation. Certainly didn't do it on purpose. The linebackers, the one I'm most confident in is Anthony Hill, of course. I think that the breakout and
he's not hurt, is he?
No, he's fine.
He's not okay.
Actually, I was talking with somebody today, that same person, who was telling me that, the team looks good. He was saying that he's been working out up at the school with Derek Johnson. So
Nikes.
I was like, that's a lot of good Longhorn linebacker getting work in together right there, man.
Yeah, Thorpe last year about to get a Bed and Eric award this year.
Yeah. So he's fine. Like, I was asking around, I'm like, is he good? They're like, yeah, dude, he's been fine for a long time. So,
good.
So I'm most confident in him. I think that the breakout and the surprise is going to be the transfer from Arkansas, Brad Spence, because I think that he's going to probably, maybe not at least to start camp. I'll bet you we go out there and we see number 0 or number 18 at the 2 linebackers. But I do bet that through the fall camp, Brad Spence at least works into where he's playing a substantial David Benda plus type of rotation with LaFau, if not starting. So that's the kind of the breakout and the surprise. The red shirt would be Cunningham for me, and Bo Barnes is probably a red shirt too. They're probably all red. They're all red shirts, but
I don't know if Bo Barnes is. I understand Cunningham. I'm not sure if Bo Barnes is.
and the prediction for me is that we finally see Ant Hill deployed in a way that it, just elevates his stock further. I really do believe at this time when they say that they want to get him involved in more different ways off the edge and stuff like that.
All right, I'll take that. I'll take the bait on all of it. I love all of it. I think Cunningham red shirts. I'm not sure about Bo Barnes. I think Bo Barnes is a guy they probably see what he looks like at both linebacker spots. Just given the expectation that he'll probably walks to the draft, and they want to just have diversity with Ty Anthony and Bo Barnes, and then also you have special teams. Spence, I think, is a layup. That's a good call because not a lot of people know a lot about Spence right now. Spence probably does to Lafau what Lafau did to Benda if everything kind of holds true this year. And then the prediction, I'll just twist off of what you just said, basically same thing, but I think that Anthony Hill will be the first Bednarik Award winner, which is the Defensive Player of the Year in college football for Texas.
Hill?
Yep.
He would be the first?
Yeah, the award's been out since 95 and Texas has had 0.
Okay, I was gonna say but it's only been since 95.
Yep.
So it's not a long storied award yet.
Well, I mean, Pat Fitzgerald won the first 2. Charles Woodson has one. LeVar Arrington has one.
Julius so it's starting like it, but it. I mean,
Travis Hunter won it last year. Will Anderson won it. Chase Young. It's the best Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, but it's like younger than me.
Dude, it's 30 years old.
Yeah.
So it's a good award.
Yeah. Okay.
Trying to undercut Ant Hill. Gosh.
Me, I'm always trying to undercut Ant Hill around here. him and Colin Simmons, dude. They can't ever get a word in edgewise about the guys. All right, secondary.
You gonna lump them together? DB, just DB.
I don't know how much time we got left. I don't know. What do you think? How long have these segments been taken?
Oh, we're good. We can split them up.
All right. So safety and then nickel and corner all together.
Yep.
All right. So let's go nickels and corners.
Is Gilbo the most confident piece? Is he the most dependable piece here? I know people are going to run out and say Manny. I know our guy, David Keith Williams, probably in the chat. He's probably going to say Manny at the cornerback position. There's no slight to Manny, but I just wonder if we've heard a lot of notes on the behind side about Jelani and Gilbo, Jelani McDonald and Jalen Gilbo, and I just wonder if Gilbo maybe for me isn't my most confident piece here going into the season, going into the spring.
I guess kind of like, man. Here's how I see it: is that Manny Muhammad was not the lockdown corner that everybody gave him credit for being last year. He's a very good corner, very, very good. I think he'll continue to get better. A definite asset, a guy who you love to have, but just not the complete lockdown. I'm the most confident in this guy in the whole world. With that being said, I've never seen Jalen Gilbo play outside corner. I've never seen it. So I can't know how confident I am in Jalen Gilbo playing outside corner, which I've confirmed just kind of looking like that's going to happen now. At least to start, they want him to do the Jahdae Barron thing. So it's just hard because I would think it's like, if they think highly enough about him to where they think that, they take him to the combine, they say they want to give him the Jahdae treatment. They're moving him to outside corner like him. David Keith Williams, we know about your love for Manny Muhammad, you are certainly on record as being president of that fan
You said
club.
Manny. His name's Money.
Money. Okay, money. Um, all these guys, their middle name should be Money. They are all so rich. It's crazy. But the thing about if the staff feels that because Gilbo's a baller, and so if the staff thinks he can play outside, it's like I would say that I just have a hard. I think I just say Muhammad, even though I'm probably a little bit tougher on the guy than a lot of people, just because I've seen him play outside corner for 2 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
I do think that Gilbo's the breakout. I think that the red shirt is. I think that probably Caleb Chester and Jason Little or Grayson Littleton, both red shirt. The surprise.
This is a pretty stacked. I mean, we've heard positive stuff about Warren Robertson, Santana Wilson. We know Kobe is sick, Kobe Black,
And then there's
Cade
Cade
Phillips.
Phillips.
Cade Phillips could come in here and just be like, "Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. You're all small. I'm number one."
Well, I did ask somebody about that today. I should have put it in the war room. I said, "Do you think that Cade Phillips could take Kobe Black's job?" He's like, "I haven't heard anything about that." So I don't know. He's like it doesn't matter. It's going to be Gilbo and stuff on the outside. I'm like, well, but yeah, but if you're talking about like the third guy, it's like I haven't heard anything about that. So I don't know. So that would be a surprise, and I think that he's a talented guy. Man, I think Kobe Black is going to be, dude. No, I'm thinking Kobe Black's sick. I'm going to say that Kobe Black is the surprise. I'm going to go the opposite of the trendy thing right now and say like, look, Cade Phillips is going to be great, and Cade Phillips plus Kobe Black at some point we're going to realize soon is going to be just an awesome group in say 2020, probably 2026.
Nailed it. David Key said the same thing. I'll agree with you. I think that the idea of Kobe Black and Cade Phillips, Kobe and Cade next year is going to be like chef's kiss at the cornerback position, and we won't realize it until like the next year. And you're like, man, that was pretty. Look where we were 3 years ago. People are going to say, and no shade to those guys last year, or 2 years ago, but yeah, I like everything you said. I think the red shirts are definitely Grayson and Caleb Chester. I think Cade gets an opportunity. I'll be interested to see where Niblett fits in, if he fits in somewhere at the DB position, what it is, safety or cornerback. So I'm not going to really say much there. And the breakout, you said Gilbo. I'm going to go Jelani. I think Jelani really breaks out here if they put him in the star position and let him roll. I think it was Ketch had an interesting nugget in his 10 thoughts from the weekend this last week saying he talked to somebody that said the third best player on the defense after Ant Hill and Colin Simmons, Jelani McDonald. And I said, whoa, like that's not the words I expected to come out of your mouth. And if that's how anybody views him, if that's how somebody views him on the inside, I think we may be ready to see a little bit of some type of maniacal, I don't know what, Tyrann Mathieu type thing coming out of Texas in Jelani McDonald.
Oh, I like that. And so we're putting Jelani McDonald in with the star, right? We're putting him in nickel corner.
Yeah.
Right. No, I hadn't thought. I'm looking at my depth chart before I got that news, and so I didn't. But yeah, had I been looking at a updated version of this depth chart where I had McDonald outside of safety, I would have done that. So all right. So speaking of safety, let's get to it. We have Derek Williams is going to miss. So, and Jonah Williams is playing baseball. So let's just say Zealous Hicks is going to be the red shirt.
Phil Sammy, baby.
I think that he's the breakout and the surprise for spring, right? So, I mean, Michael Taft and Xavier Filsaime, we were dancing in the streets whenever Filsaime committed, right? So like, this is like, he's probably going to start this spring. What an opportunity for like a 5-star talent kind of guy to get out there, line up next to Michael Taft, the total field commander, and get back there and see what he can do. We certainly heard from Andrew Makuba what he thought about the dude at the combine. Couldn't say enough about him.
I think that you say this in one of our good friends, Matt Kelly, would say this in fantasy terms. He goes, "You're not afraid to be surprised when Xavier Filson is the best safety on the field during spring camp."
You're not allowed to be. Yeah, you're not allowed to be surprised. I don't know. I'd be a little bit surprised if he looked better than Mookie. Certainly be surprised if you found a better deal than on any of your liquor or your alcohol than if you would ever. I honestly, I wouldn't be surprised. I would be shook to my core if you could find a better set of specials and better set of deals and just everyday prices than you find at Specs.
At Specs, it doesn't cost a lot to turn a good time into a great time, especially if you like saving money. From connoisseur collectors to aficionados of ale, you'll find bubbly bliss at any budget with a Texas-sized selection of world-class wines, rare spirits, craft beers, and more. So when you're getting ready for a good time, Specs is ready to make it great. Because at Specs, the fun starts here.
Shop Specs, low priced, amazing. Here's to you, cheers to saving.
Now, you can email us, fwfemails@gmail.com. You can find us on X at Alex Dunlap NFL, at Cody Carpentier. Thanks so much for being here. As usual, we're here every night, 6 to 7 p.m., Football with Friends here on Orange Bloods Live. As usual, asking for 4 things from you here at the end of the show. We came in, we talked football, jam-packed football talk. We're not begging you for likes and subscribes, but now is where we do that, okay? So please like the show. It helps immensely. Please subscribe to the channel. If you like the show, tell a friend about the show. Let them know we're talking Texas football. We're doing it year-round. We're talking SEC, NFL draft. If it's football, we love doing it. It's always, of course, fun as hell. Most importantly, if you like the show and you've just stumbled upon it today, it's not too late to just start watching every day, man. Like we're here every single day, 6 to 7 p.m. Central Time. So we hope to see you guys again. We hope you guys have a great rest of your night. We'll see you tomorrow for a Final Takes Friday. Yeah, it's been a while since we've had a Final Takes Friday, but a little bit of the preview of the Elite 11. Hopefully we can talk about some of this basketball stuff. Maybe there'll be a new basketball coach by then.
Boo.
You never ever know. All right. So we'll see you guys then. All right. Love y'all. God bless you. For Cody, I'm Alex. We're done.